Do you want to see Justice League but haven't seen Batman vs. Superman? Or do you want to take someone you know to see Justice League that hasn't seen Batman vs. Superman? Or maybe you've seen it and just want a refresher.
I'm John from ObserveMedia, and I'm here to give you a rundown on Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice.
First, a little background on Man of Steel. Superman's home planet of Krypton blows up. His parents send him to Earth, where he's adopted by Jonathan and Martha Kent. He struggles to fit in throughout his life. Another Kryptonian named Zod comes to Earth with a plan to use a device called the World Engine to turn Earth into a new Krypton. Superman refuses to help him and ends up fighting him in a destructive battle in Metropolis. Superman eventually kills Zod and stops the World Engine. Batman v Superman begins during the fight with Zod, but from the point of view of Bruce Wayne. He's talking on the phone to a guy named Jack, who's a higher-up Metropolis branch of Wayne Enterprises. Bruce watches on as the building Jack and his other employees are in is leveled by Superman and Zod. In the aftermath of the collapse, Bruce saves his employee Wallace from some rubble, though he's paralyzed from the waist down. Afterwards, he saves a girl from some collapsing rubble, but after asking where her mom is, she just points up to the collapsed Wayne Enterprises building. Cutting to present day, a team uncovers a chunk of kryptonite in the Indian Ocean. Elsewhere, Lois Lane arrives in Africa to interview a local general. Things go wrong as her photographer turns out to be a CIA agent, and a mercenary group attacks the general's base. Superman arrives in time to save Lois, but not the others. This, along with the destruction in Metropolis, divides the population's opinion on Superman, who some believe caused these deaths in Africa. Later in the Batcave, Bruce talks to his butler Alfred Pennyworth about a mysterious person known as the White Portuguese, who Bruce claims is bringing a dirty bomb into Gotham City. Alfred expresses concern that Bruce has changed since Superman's first appeared. Meanwhile at LexCorp, Lex Luthor invites Senator Finch and her subordinate into his lab to try and convince them to allow him to use kryptonite to create a deterrent to creatures like Superman, after finding out that kryptonite seems to be able to pierce Kryptonian skin. Senator Finch is not impressed, but Lex makes a deal with her subordinate to gain access to Zod's ship and his body, in exchange for this Kryptonian deterrent he hopes to make. While attempting to live a normal, daily life as Clark Kent, Superman can't help but notice the way the world is reacting to what happened in Africa. After traveling to Gotham to talk to one of the witnesses of the events in Africa, Clark begins hearing stories about the vigilante known as the Batman. He attempts to convince Daily Planet editor-in-chief Perry White that they should write an article on Batman, but Perry is not interested. He instead sends him to a benefit being hosted by Lex Luthor, at an unknown person's request. Wallace, from the destruction of Metropolis, now a double amputee, defaces the Superman statue and is arrested. Later on, Lex Luthor meets with Senator Finch again, where she tells him she is blocking his proposal for the Kryptonian deterrent, seeing it as more of a weapon than a means of protection. After continuing his investigation into the White Portuguese, Bruce finds a connection to Lex Luthor. Alfred points out that Lex has invited him to a benefit he is hosting in his home, which Bruce sees as an opportunity to get more information about the White Portuguese. At the benefit, Bruce makes his move to go hack Lex's computer system. He hooks up a hacking box but is interrupted before it can do his job. After leaving the box downstairs to hack the system, Bruce returns upstairs and runs into Clark Kent. Clark questions Bruce on the violence of Batman, and Bruce retaliates, expressing his anger towards Superman. After being interrupted by Lex, Bruce returns downstairs to find the hacking box gone. He notices a strange woman who has taken it. After following her outside, she escapes. Digging further into the Batman, Clark finds out that Batman has been branding people, and that a bat brand means certain death in Blackgate Penitentiary. But we see that someone is actually paying people to kill anyone with the brand. Perry finds out that Clark is pursuing the Batman story against his wishes. He warns Clark to stop going after Batman. Someone sends Clark pictures of the branded man's dead body in Blackgate. Upon returning to Gotham for more information on the man, Clark is met by the man's widow, who blames Batman for the murder. She claims he doesn't answer to normal laws. Bruce finds the woman who stole his hacking box, Diana, at an antiques exhibit. She claims that she took the box to get back something Lex stole from her, but that his information was too heavily encrypted, and that she's also already returned it to Bruce's car. While decrypting the data from the box, Bruce has a nightmare of a post-apocalyptic world where Superman has taken over along with an army of monsters known as parademons. His efforts to stop Superman in this world are thwarted. After being brought to the Man of Steel, Batman is murdered by Superman, who says,
"She was my world, and you took her from me."
Bruce wakes up to a vision in the Batcave of a portal opening with a flash reaching through to him. He says,
"Listen to me now! It's Lois! It's Lois Lane! She's the key! Am I too soon? No! I'm too soon!
Bruce again wakes up, but this time the papers are still floating on the floor, as if the vision was real. Bruce finds the data from Lex has been decrypted. He learns that the White Portuguese isn't actually a man, it's a ship. Alfred realizes Bruce has been lying to him about why he's looking for the White Portuguese. Bruce confirms that it isn't actually bringing a dirty bomb into Gotham, it's bringing kryptonite. Bruce and Alfred argue about Superman. Alfred claims that he's not their enemy, while Bruce maintains that with everything he's been through in his career as Batman, he doesn't trust anyone to stay good forever, and needs a way to stop him. After placing a tracker on the crate that is carrying the kryptonite, Batman attempts to take it from them with the help of the Batmobile. He eventually loses them after the intervention of Superman, who tells him,
"Next time they shine your light in the sky, don't go to it. The bat is dead. Bury it. Consider this mercy."
Batman responds,
Tell me. Do you bleed? You will.
Batman returns to the Batcave and finds that the tracker he placed is now at LexCorp. Meanwhile, Wallace gets bailed out of jail by Lex Luthor. Lex offers him some money, a new wheelchair, and his backing to testify at Capitol Hill against Superman. Wallace meets with Senator Finch, who makes a statement calling Superman to testify about what happened in Africa at Capitol Hill. Lois Lane, after finding the bullet from the African incident, digs further into the incident. She finds out that the bullet was made by LexCorp, and the whole situation was an ambush arranged to frame Superman, with her being used as the bait. Bruce watches Wallace arrive at Capitol Hill on TV. He questions his people on why Wallace never received his victims' fund checks. They claim that he's been getting them, but he's been returning them, with messages against Bruce written on them. Meanwhile at Capitol Hill, Superman arrives to testify. During the hearing, Senator Finch begins putting two and two together. Someone arranging the incident in Africa. Someone sending Wallace to testify against Superman now. Lex Luthor being absent from the hearing even though she had just run into him outside. As she realizes that it was Lex that set everything up, the wheelchair Lex provided for Wallace blows up, destroying the building and killing everyone inside. Superman is unable to react in time to stop it. Bruce watches on as the building burns. Superman saves as many people as he can from the destruction, but the attack and deaths have clearly taken their toll on him. He questions if he's really doing any good. Later, Lex arrives back at LexCorp to find that a violent break-in has taken place. Upon watching security footage, he finds that it was Batman who broke in and stole the kryptonite. He returns to Zod's Kryptonian ship in an effort to learn as much as he can about Krypton and Superman. Bruce begins forging weapons out of kryptonite. He creates 3 gas bomb-like grenades and a spear out of it. Farther looking through Lex's files, he finds files on 4 metahumans throughout the world. The first is Diana. The file contains pictures of her dating back to 1918. A second file contains security footage of Barry Allen using super speed to stop a robbery. The third file has footage underwater as Aquaman destroys an underwater drone with a powerful blast. The last file shows Silas Stone and his son Victor. Victor is only a head and torso wired to a computer to stay alive. He then attempts to use some sort of magical box to fix his son. The box begins to rebuild his body as a robotic form. Realizing he will need a new way to kill Superman after his plan unfolds, Lex uses Zod's body along with some of his own blood in a chamber on the ship to create something that the ship tells him has been forbidden to exist on Krypton for hundreds of years. Realizing that Wallace had no plans to kill himself, Lois also learns that the wheelchair was made by Lex, just like the bullet, and that the inside of the chair was lined with lead which Superman can't see through, all designed to make Superman doubt himself and be hated by others. Soon after, Lois is taken by a group of Lex's men. Elsewhere, Martha Kent is taken by a similar group of men. Lois is taken to the top of LexCorp to meet with Lex Luthor. He notes her finding out that he set everything up, before claiming he needs a way to get Superman's attention, then pushes her off the building. Superman catches her, then flies up to meet with Lex. Lex reveals he knows Superman is Clark. He reveals his plan to discredit Superman, to get them to see Superman the way he sees him, as a false god. He reveals that he has set everything up. The African incident, the notes to Bruce, the Capitol Hill explosion, the pictures of the murdered Brandon Mann, Bruce and Clark meeting at his benefit, all designed to push Bruce towards hating Superman. He reveals that he took Clark's mother, Martha Kent. He claims that he had his men not tell him where she was to give Superman little way to find her. He claims the only way she'll live is for Superman to kill Batman, pitting the two against each other to both take out Batman and discredit Superman in the process. Diana receives an email from Bruce containing files of the metahumans from Lex's database. He questions who she is. Meanwhile, on TV, Zod's ship is shown erupting with electricity. Meanwhile, in Gotham City, Batman, now donning a much tougher armored suit, shines the bat signal in the sky, calling Superman to him to fight. Superman meets Batman in Gotham in an attempt to explain what's going on, but Batman refuses to listen. He continues to attack Superman with supersonics and guns, neither of which work. Superman flies Batman through a building. On the rooftop, he claims if he wanted it, Batman would be dead already. Batman uses one of the kryptonite grenades to weaken Superman and begins to beat him down. Superman begins to regain his strength, but before he can reach full strength, Batman hits him with a second kryptonite grenade. After further fighting, Batman stands ready to kill Superman with her kryptonite spear. Lois arrives on the scene as Superman claims,
You're letting him kill Martha.
he begs Batman to save Martha. Relating this back to his mother, Batman questions why he said it. Lois tells him that it's his mother's name. Batman flashes back to the night his parents were killed, when he was helpless to save his mother, with a man standing over him ready to kill him. He realizes he has now become the man he hates most, ready to kill another helpless man who is unable to save his mother. Batman throws the spear away. Superman explains what Lex has done. Lois tells them about Zod's ship. Batman promises to save Superman's mother while Superman goes to the ship. Hearing the conversation, Alfred tracks Lex's hitman's phone to a port in Gotham. He gives Batman the coordinates. Batman arrives at the warehouse Martha is being kept in and beats the living crap out of everyone inside. Lex's hitman, known as the KG Beast in the comics, holds Martha hostage with a flamethrower, but Batman shoots the fuel line. As the man pulls the trigger, Batman dives through the window, carrying Martha out of the building as the flamethrower explodes. Superman arrives at Zod's ship to find Lex there. After receiving a call from Batman on the hitman's phone, Lex reveals his overall plan to kill Superman, a grotesque monster known as Doomsday. Doomsday immediately attempts to kill Lex, but his fist is caught by Superman. The two continue to fight into the city. Meanwhile, Diana and Batman both head to the scene of the battle. Superman flies Doomsday out to space to keep him away from the population of Metropolis. As they clear the city, the President issues an order to fire a nuke at them. Once in space, the rocket hits both Superman and Doomsday as everyone watches on. The military confirms that Superman never re-entered the atmosphere after the explosion. But Doomsday did, and he's still alive. It becomes apparent that Doomsday keeps evolving. Every time he is hurt, he evolves in a way that won't let him be hurt that way again. Batman realizes that Doomsday is Kryptonian and that he can be killed with kryptonite. He gets Doomsday to chase him back to the abandoned port in Gotham where the kryptonite spear is. Meanwhile in space, the rays from the sun begin to heal Superman, who has been weakened by the blast. Batman arrives back at the port but is shot down by Doomsday's heat vision. Doomsday attempts to blast Batman with heat vision but is blocked by Diana, now dressed as Wonder Woman. Lois realizes that they'll need the spear and dives into the water where it is buried to get it. Superman returns to the city and attacks Doomsday. The Trinity begin to fight Doomsday as rubble falls, trapping Lois underwater. Superman realizes that Lois is trapped and leaves the fight to save her. Batman and Wonder Woman fend off Doomsday as Superman retrieves his spear. Wonder Woman cuts off Doomsday's hand, but he evolves with a new bone spear in its place. Superman decides to risk his own life to save the world, claiming,
This is my world.
No, Clark, don't.
You are my world.
No.
Wonder Woman holds Doomsday steady with her lasso, and Batman shoots him with the last kryptonite grenade to weaken him, as Superman flies towards him and drives the spear into his chest. Doomsday retaliates by spearing Superman in the chest. Superman holds on, driving the spear through Doomsday, killing him. Lois looks on, but Wonder Woman's reaction tells her that Superman didn't survive. Batman and Wonder Woman retrieve Superman's body. Inside Zod's ship, a SWAT team finds Lex communicating with an alien being, or being told about the alien being by the ship, it's not totally clear. The being fades away and Lex is arrested. The world mourns the death of Superman, who sacrificed himself for them. An article in the Daily Planet claims that Clark was killed during the Gotham battle. In Washington, D.C., a military-style funeral is held, honoring Superman as a hero. Back at the Kent farm, funeral services are being held for Clark. Martha reveals to Lois that he had a package sent to the house to surprise her. She opens it to find an engagement ring. After Clark's funeral, Bruce and Diana stand off to the side. Bruce claims he failed Superman in life, but he won't fail him in death. He asks Diana to help him find the other metahumans, because they'll need to stand together to fight. When asked why, he replies,
Just a feeling.
Flashing to a prison in Metropolis, we see Lex in a cell. The warden arrives wanting to speak with him, but the lights go out. When red emergency lights come on, the warden and guard are gone, and Batman is in their place. He claims he will be watching Lex, no matter what happens. Lex claims he's insane and not fit to stand trial. Batman says he's arranged for Lex to be moved to Arkham Asylum. Lex vaguely claims that a bell has been rung, and they have heard it. They know Superman is dead, and they quote,
He's hungry. He's found us. And he's coming!
Back at Clark's grave, Lois drops the first handful of dirt onto Clark's casket. A close-up of the casket shows the dirt momentarily beginning to rise.
I hope you found this useful if you want to see Justice League, or if you just wanted a rundown of Batman v Superman. Be sure to like and subscribe below, and let us know in the comments what you'd like to see us do next. I'm John from ObserveMedia, and I'll talk at you again later.